Rod Graham, welcome back to the University of Huddersfield. Rod, as the director, one of the directors of Design Engine, sustainability is one of the cornerstones of what you bring in your practice. But equally, you've got to balance that with what the client wants. How do you manage that? I mean, how do you bring it to the table on each, perhaps on every occasion?
I mean, basically, we hold sustainability as a sort of core consideration in our work. So there is one argument that clients come to our practice to exploit that resource, if you like, that expertise. Most clients that we tend to deal with are already quite in tune with the ideas of sustainability and the value that brings to a new project, and many of them are actually driven by the demands, if you like, of the user group. So in the case of universities, students are actually very sustainably aware these days, and so they so the universities, in recognising that, are very keen to capture if you like, the attentions of students, and so they automatically accept that sustainability should be a part of a sort of intrinsic part of the design.
And what does sustainability mean to you? I mean, to the layman, is it the longevity of the life of the building, or is it encompass more than that? Are we talking about environmental aspects here?
Yes, I think it's quite all-encompassing, and it does mean different things to different people. I mean, in terms of if one was looking at a more sort of urban picture where you're master planning a large development, then issues of sustainability could extend to things like employment and how people can be involved perhaps in the construction of a project, and then how that project goes forward to support their lives. In financial terms, it can mean that we look to reuse existing buildings where there may not have been seen that opportunity. So we'll always look at existing buildings with the potential to reuse them and adapt them. And in the case of both existing buildings and new build, we will endeavour wherever possible to make them as carbon free, if you like, as possible, and try and take passive measures initially to see how we can reduce energy usage.
There must be a lot of buildings that the practice takes pride in. Is there any one in particular that you, as a director, as a real favourite?
I think probably, talking about the practice as a whole, I'd say, rather than just myself, the new British embassy in the Yemen, Sana'a in the Yemen, probably captured, if you like, the real spirit of sustainability, not only from the point of view of local employment, because we had lots of local tradesmen working on the project and craftsmen as well, but also because of the environmental measures that were in place to provide a building which has to exist in quite a severe, harsh climate. That involved some interesting engineering, which was not exactly cutting edge, but it was there were approaches which had probably not been used before in that country. We had things like labyrinth cooling, and we were using the very small amount of rainwater that the Yemen has, so we were collecting that for irrigation of the gardens. We had big concrete frame construction to deal with the thermal sort of gain from outside. We had sort of solar shading, which also dealt actually with the other harsh issue over there, which was terrorism. So the brise soleil, the solar shading cage on the outside of the building dealt with solar gain, but also prevented rocket attack. So any attacks meant that the actual brise-soleil itself stopped any missiles passing beyond a certain point in the elevation of the building. So.
You're a graduate of the University of Huddersfield, and
Yes.
You're back here at the university today.
Yes. Yeah.
And tomorrow, I believe, to judge what we call the 24-hour design challenge, which I believe is also dealing with extreme as well.
It's a piece of product design which is been undertaken by interdisciplinary groups. So there's transport engineering and there's textile students brought together, for example, and they have to produce a product which deals with issues of safety. So it might be something that assists individuals in the case of an earthquake, or it might be something to do with a flooding issue, or anything really to do with the whole gamut of safety. The challenge is to design something innovative and new for which would have a real genuine value and be marketable as well. When you eventually sort of start working in practice, in my case as an architect, you are basically put on the same stage as structural engineers, environmental engineers, mechanical engineers, landscape architects, acousticians. The list is endless. So the opportunity and the idea of dealing with different disciplines as part of the process is a great idea. So it's an excellent initiative, yeah.
The University of Huddersfield, inspiring tomorrow's professionals.